Welcome into House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and joining me as always is Gilbert Manzano, who does it for MMQB Sports Illustrated. Hey Gilbert, happy Thanksgiving first of all. I doubt we're gonna have that many people joining us on this live today, but I just want to if you listen to this episode, if you watch this episode, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving. Thank you guys for watching and listening to us all season long. It's been a great ride the last few years here having to do this show. So we really appreciate you guys. And I just wanted to make sure we started off with that. But how are you doing? And happy Thanksgiving to you, Gilbert.
Yeah, it's a early happy Thanksgiving, but it's also on the eve of Thanksgiving, it's National Order a Pizza Day. So you're
Yes.
ordering a pizza and you're ordering food because you don't want to cook on the busiest day to cook on the eve of that, and you're watching House of Horns. Don't be shy, drop a comment. But I know everybody wants to be in vacation mode and think about the turkey tomorrow, watch football all day tomorrow.
All
That's
weekend.
awesome. So we understand. But yeah, if you're watching live, drop a comment. If not, you're watching the replay, also drop a comment. And also happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And yeah, let me know if you are gonna order a pizza today on the eve of Thanksgiving.
Or what are your plans? How are you celebrating Thanksgiving this weekend? We want to know, are you a turkey person? Are you staying away from the turkey? Are you a sides? Do you like your side dishes better when it comes to Thanksgiving? Like what is your routine for Thanksgiving? Let us know. We want to know. Maybe we'll join you there. I know I got to work tomorrow in the morning. You have to work tomorrow having to cover the Bengals and Ravens game, but we still want to hear from you guys. I love to hear what you guys have going on this weekend as you get ready for this matchup between the Carolina Panthers and the LA Rams. A 10 a.m. kickoff. I'm sure not a lot of people are gonna want to wake up that early to watch this game, but maybe outside. I would say outside of being a Panthers and Rams game, it's probably gonna be on the side there on red zone. I'll keep track and see how many times Hansen goes to the Rams game here for this Carolina game. But we have a lot to get into this show. We'll get into our game preview, Gilbert, Rams and Panthers matchup, our latest news and notes. There's a lot of news, Gilbert, to go over for this matchup. And lastly, we'll do our game predictions before we get to our game preview. Gilbert, what is our engagement question for our viewers and listeners?
Yeah. Let me know what are the keys to a Rams victory in NFL Week 13. They are in North Carolina or Charlotte, I guess to be exact, for the Carolina game. And the Panthers weren't very good on Monday Night Football, so maybe there's a lot of ways to beat up this team. But maybe you're focused on just handling business, come out unscathed, run the football. That is the key. Or maybe you want Matthew Stafford to keep lining it up. Like I think he's had like 3 touchdowns and no interceptions in 4 out of his last 5 games. Like if he keeps doing that, where you're throwing three touchdown passes or more and no turnovers, like he's in a very historic pace for pushing the football and protecting the football. And yeah, sometimes when you beat up on these terrible teams, that's how you get yourself an MVP. Maybe you want to see that. Maybe you want to see the edge rushers just dominate and suffocate Bryce Young. But let me know what are some keys here, and also what do you want to see from this matchup? It's a little bit of a tricky game where like you could call it like a trap game vibe. uh, these Rams are playing way too good to fall into a trap, so maybe you're not worried about it. But yeah, let me know how you feel about it. I'm guessing nobody's too concerned about this crappy team, but Carolina that is. But you never know. Sometimes, especially earlier in the season, the Rams are kind of keeping it close for like a quarter, for 2 quarters and maybe a half. But lately they just been dominating, so maybe nobody's worried about that right now.
Yeah, I mean, we already got some communism here. Ducendo says if the Rams are up big at the half, put in Jimmy G. So there's that.
Yeah.
AMS is like he says, I'm in Ocean City, New Jersey on
Oh,
vacation from Philadelphia, enjoying the Atlantic Ocean. Go Rams.
nice. Yeah, and
Yeah.
enjoy the vacation, enjoy the holiday. And I don't think I've ever been no, I've been to New Jersey just for the airport, but I was gonna say,
Same, Newark. Yep.
yeah, Newark, but yeah, enjoy Ocean City, enjoy the Atlantic Ocean. I, I, I don't know if I should say this. Does anybody want to go to Atlantic City? But one day I feel like I should just go just to say like I've gone to Atlantic City. But I just thought about that right now randomly because I feel like that was like a place to go back in the day. Nobody goes to that anymore.
Yeah, well, you know why Atlantic City exists, right?
I don't really know the backstory.
Okay, so and somebody can tell me whether I'm right or wrong here. It is Thanksgiving, so we're gonna have a lot of this kind of conversation now. As we get ready for this matchup, there isn't a lot to get into with this matchup. We're gonna be honest. There is the news and notes, which I'll get into next year, Gilbert. But Vegas used to be like the Vegas of the East Coast used to be in Cuba. When the whole thing went down with Cuba, they needed another place to be able to go to.
Mm,
That became Atlantic
the East
City.
Coast.
And so that's how we got. But you're right. Atlantic City is kind of, not as popular as it once was. A lot of things have kind of made it so. But one of them being even Vegas is struggling, as we've talked about. But, you know, eventually I feel like those two cities are going to get back. Gambling is going to get back to what it was. It just feels like they're just going through a cycle right now. One more comment on here, Gilbert. It says ESG says, I want to see Witherspoon get an
Ah,
interception on his first game back. And ESG, I love how you just set us up for our Rams news and note segment plus injury report here, Gilbert. And I have a lot of notes to go over here with Ram fans. So to ESG, the Rams have opened the practice window for Akilo Witherspoon and Tutu Atwell to return from IR, while simultaneously putting Roger McCreary on IR. Couple more things here. Rams claim old friend Darian Kendrick off of waivers and signed tight end Nick Vanette to the active roster. The team announced. Um, and speaking of Darian Kendrick, Seahawks coach Mike McDonald told reporters he was hoping to get Kendrick back on the practice squad, but the Rams came in out of nowhere and took him out of waivers there, which is kind of interesting with the fact that these two teams are going to face each other one more time in a couple weeks. It might face each other a third time in the playoffs. So I love this between these rivals being able to pick up a guy out of the practice squad there. So kind of cool there. McVay said that Adwell and Witherspoon could play on Sunday versus the Panthers, depending on how each practices this week. I saw a couple of videos from our friends, both Gary Klein and Adam Grossbar. One, you saw Tutu Adwell cutting really well, so I expect him to play. Akilo Witherspoon did talk to reporters. I saw Adam Grossbar's tweet saying that it was not a collarbone injury; it was actually a scapula injury. So that's what made him return a lot sooner. So I would expect him in a uh, play this week as well, Gilbert. So both guys should be good to go. Couple more injury items here. Free safety Cam Kitchens is dealing with the shoulder, and Byron Young is dealing with the knee injury. Both sat out practice today, but Sean McVay said that he expects them to play against Carolina. A couple more things here in terms of roster moves. The Rams signed safety Tanner Ingle back to the practice squad. And so that is everything. I can give you just give me your thoughts here on everything, all the all the vomit here of information I
that's
just
a
gave
lot.
you with the roster going on right now.
Yeah, and real quick on the Darion Kendrick thing, like, you know, keeping him would have helped out during the Kilo Witherspoon storm when he went out and he couldn't figure out the rotation. But in a way, it allowed to trust more in Emmanuel Forbes and our guy Jesse, who keeps bashing me for always crapping on the Ram secondary. To his credit, Emmanuel Forbes has been much better. He's been feisty. He's been confident. So maybe losing Darren Kendrick is kind of like the one, blessing in disguise that you were forced to play other guys when Witherspoon went down. So you saw a guy like there was a point where like this team really missed him, and it's now he's coming back to a red hot secondary that just impressed against Tampa Bay, impressed against Seattle. It's like, all right, you got room for me. So it's kind of funny how things just flipped, and credit to him for getting back and being ready because they really did need him, and they still do. It's gonna make him stronger, but I thought he's gonna come back like in December. So to be ahead, that's good news there. Obviously, Tutu Atwell has been missed, but that was a position they were going to be okay with because of all the skill players they have. And I've also been critical to Atwell, and I think he came up clutch earlier in the year. I think the Colts game, right? He got the
The
game winning
Colts game, they
touchdown.
don't win that game without him.
Yeah, so now that he's back, maybe you get more clutch plays from Tutu. So those are two big guys coming back this week.
Yeah, and I thought one item there, and we'll talk about it when we get to keys to the game. Them signing tight end Nick Vanette to the active roster, I think is huge, is because it just tells you that they want to run more 12 and 13 personnel. And I saw Adam Grossbart. He asked McVay about it in terms of what they want to do and why it was important for them to have more tight ends on this roster. And just kind of paraphrasing what he said, it sounded like it just gives them more of an option just because you saw them not being able to run it as much against the Buccaneers, even though they threw the ball a lot more in that game. It just feels like they just want to make sure that they're still able to run, everything or have everything at their disposal that Sean McVay wants to run.
Yeah, no, it's beneficial to have different personnel groupings, and it's been paying off. That's why they're the number one seed in football for a reason. So if you want to go more 13 personnel and bring in more bodies, that's great too. So it was pretty impressive. They go from 11 to 13 to even 12. It helps out in the running game and helps out to add more versatility and allow Stafford to spread the ball around. So hey, if you want to bring in more bodies, that so be it.
Yeah, I think that that's something to kind of keep an eye on, especially I think that this game, I think for a lot of people it's just going to be one of those, okay, just go ahead and take care of business. But I think what I want to look at is what the usage is coming out of this game, whether they run the ball or not, whether who gets involved in this game, and I guess it'll depend on how the game is going, whether they're up big, like someone said, if they're up huge by halftime, bring in Jimmy G. So we'll see if it gets to that point, but I think for me, I think that's going to be a big thing for me is seeing what this personnel is going to be for this game depending on where they're at. um, One last thing here, Gilbert, and we're starting to get to that point now, Gilbert, where Chris Shula is doing such a really good job with this team that he's gonna be one of the top candidates for head coaching jobs. And so I was kind of surprised people have waited till now to start asking him, but I'm glad someone did. And uh Chris Shula was asked about being a potential head coach candidate in this cycle. He said he prepared materials during the summer in case of interviews, but isn't thinking much about it. He This is from Adam Grossbart again,
Mm.
and this was the pull quote from Adam Grossbart that he got from Chris Shula. He says, "quote I think that's the goal of any coach, but that wants to be in the league. You want to take yourself to the highest profession. That doesn't mean you're going to walk away for any single opportunity. I love it here. My family loves it here. We've been here 9 to 10 years, coaching with the coaching with my best friends. We obviously have a great group of players and great staff. So for right now, the opportunity we'll see. But like I said, I'm not thinking too much about that. So, what are your thoughts on what Chris Shula being asked? And do you see him as one of the top candidates to get a coaching job?
Yeah, obviously it happened with Brandon Staley, it happened with Raheem Morris. It's funny how it's happening either offense or defense for Sean McVay's guys. And, people like to, pick off the Sean McVay tree, and Chris Shula's doing a great job. And, he's still young. I just looked it up. He's 39 years old, and but he's kind of paid his dues. And obviously, when you have the name Shula, you don't want to be accused of being a nepo kid and kind of getting a fast track into the NFL coaching world. And to mention where he said he's been there for 9, 10 years to kind of work his way up. He had to wait his turn. He had to earn it. He had to, when I think it was when they went away from Wade Phillips, who obviously was a proven DC back in the day. They opened it up for the outside. They wanted to go with Staley, and I'm sure he's probably thinking like I've been here. Why can't I get an opportunity? But you got to wait your turn. And then when Staley left, it's like let's go again in the outside. Raheem Morris. So Sean McVay knows the pulse of the coaching staff, and he felt like guys who were there just weren't ready, so he kept going outside. And now when a guy left again after I forget how many years, 3 or 4 years, Raheem Morris was there, it was okay. Let's promote from within, and I like that. I think it was between for a while, like they were developing two guys. It was Eric Henderson, who was beloved by Aaron Donald, and he went to
Yep.
with the Trojans to
USC.
coach there.
Yep.
And then it was Chris Shula, and it was kind of those two guys. And I think maybe Eric Henderson saw the writing on the wall, like it's gonna probably be Chris Shula, so let me go somewhere else. Or maybe it was the opportunity was too good. But those are the two guys that were waiting. I remember they were always splitting kind of time in the preseason to call plays, and this is Shula's second season, right?
Hmm.
So again, it wasn't like he was 1 year coordinator. It's his second year, so it seemed like the timing is right for him to be a head coach, and I'm sure he has a Rolodex of contacts to build his own staff, but when you're a DC, you have to prove yourself more. So if this team wins the Super Bowl, goes to the Super Bowl, or this defense just lights out when it really matters in December, January, he's gonna get opportunities. If the defense falters down the stretch, and he won't. But it kind of shows you how he's getting questions now from the media about it around Thanksgiving time. So he's doing something right, but again, he should definitely be a top candidate. Like everything I laid out, I think the timing is right now. But you being a DC, you got to do more, and you got to do it in the playoffs. We'll see what they do. And then like the way he's just been developing guys, like obviously the front has been stepping up, and he's been helping with that. But to get a career year from Nate Landman to mix and match the secondary that was up and down to now get them to do well. We'll see what happens with the loss of McCrary. Maybe another. I think Quentin Lake's on IR, right, Vic? I lost
Yep.
track.
Yeah.
So you got to do more mixing and matching. If he just plugs in Darion Kendrick and Kilo Witherspoon, and nothing to see here, then again, more power to Sheila for what he's doing, because he's pressing all the right buttons here.
Yeah, and one of the things, if you kind of start looking at the McVay tree, it feels like he has either 1 or 2 years with the coordinator, and then they get the job. And so it just feels like this is the time for Chris Shula. The other thing too, that's Sean McVay's best friend. They were roommates at John Carroll. I mean, these guys have been together for, and he came in with Sean McVay in 2017, and it just feels like listening to reporters, whether it's national guys or even local reporters here, is it sounds like um this is the one guy that Sean McVay has pushed the most to get a coaching job. He's out there putting his name out there. So I would not be surprised if he gets a coaching job this season. It's just you look at the success of the McVay tree, and it's been really successful. It's not like with the Belichick or any of the other ones. Yes, there's some misses there, but for the most part, they've hit and they've been good. Whether you just go, Matt LaFleur, you look at Kevin O'Connell. Uh, like I said, I know Raheem Morris is struggling right now,
Yeah.
but like for the most part, his tree has done really well, and so
But I wonder how much, would it be like half the tree is a little, I guess, rotten or whatever, misleading, because Staley struggled, Morris is
right.
struggling. Like they're probably thinking, like, what if the defense is not
Yeah,
the
if
way to
it's a
go?
defensive guy, do I take a
Yeah,
chance, right?
that could be something that could hurt him. And ESG's comment saying if Raheem Morris gets fired, he
Yeah,
comes back, that'll be interesting, kind of like Robert Saleh with the 49ers. But
yeah.
uh, I don't know if people will view it that way. Sometimes when you're the hot name currently, that's all people care about. They don't care about like, well, that guy struggled and that guy struggled. So, but that could be the one knock there. But he's just pushing all the right buttons right now. I remember Staley's year. He was a young coordinator, first year coordinator, immediately gets a job. Like sometimes people just want a freaking defense. So if there's a team out there that maybe like the Giants, man, they got a bunch of pass rushers. They're probably seeing what he's doing with the guys in LA, and it's like, can you do that for our defense? And you know a lot of McVay guys to coach the offense. Let's do this. I could definitely see something like that.
Yeah, and to the comment to ASG, would you bring back Raheem Morris? To me, the thing that I keep going back to, Gilbert, I it would it would be like the icing on the cake if they got Raheem Morris,
Oh,
because they would have gotten a third round pick for
yeah.
him being the head coach, and a first round pick for trading. So, and they get Raheem Morris back as their defensive coordinator. I mean, how much more can you get out of a coach from, so Raheem Morris would be just the icing of the cake if he was able to come back. If he gets fired, we'll see what happens there. He needs to keep winning there. I know a lot of Ram fans hope he keeps losing, because it means a higher draft pick, and you might get him back if Chris Shula ends up leaving here. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna start getting those talks. We'll see. I know they don't want to talk about it till the end of the season, but it's good that if that McVay has them well prepared. If you're gonna have a mentor, he's a great one to get you prepared for interviews and everything you're gonna see out there. So that you have one of the best in Sean McVay. All right, Gilbert, let's get to Rams and Panthers week 13. But before we do that, let me get to some of these comments, because Delbert says, Thanksgiving regards, Victor, Gilberto, and families. It would be easy to overlook this team on the road. Key for me is the Rams not to let up. Still want to see a run back. Yeah, we haven't seen one of those on special teams, so
Yeah.
that is true. One more here from ESG. He says he doesn't like Shador, but I hate the 49ers, so he's gonna go with the Browns there. And if you checked out just a plug here, Gilbert, if you checked out our betting show earlier, we both like the Browns in that game to cover. We'll see whether or not the 49ers win, but the 4.5 is too enticing, especially with the way Jim Schwartz seems to really stifle Kyle Shanahan's offense. So something to keep an eye on there. And then Ducendo says defense looks great all around. Rams will go far. So, yep, that defense does look good, and a lot of it is because of Chris Shula. All right, Gilbert, let's get to these. Let's get to these storylines. I don't want to spend too much time on the Panthers, unless you want to go and get more off your chest when it comes to the to the Panthers. Uh, uh, Yesterday you went on a rant. On our betting show, you went on a rant. Do you want to go on a rant here against the Panthers?
Like I'll say this: that the Rams shouldn't have much trouble with Bryce Young. He's still trying to find his way. Uh, but I will say Dave Canales is going to do some corrections. He didn't give Rico Dow the ball enough. Like I think Bryce Young fooled everybody for a week against Atlanta. Raheem Morris again. He got lit up there by Young, who dropped 448 passing yards. So they thought maybe they could pass the ball more. Kind of a weird game against the 49ers where you get 3 interceptions early, so you get short fields. So you're probably thinking, let's go take a shot here. And Bryce Young couldn't do it. He threw a pick in the end zone. So that kind of maybe led to not having more Rico Dow. So Rico Dow could give these guys trouble. Dave Canales knows how to coach the running game. He knows how to get the old line to produce running lanes. So it's going to be a lot of pressure on the front to protect that. But they don't have a quarterback. You got a good rookie in Ted McMillan. But I want to say the defense could maybe be a problem. I don't know if JC Horn's going to be available, but
Yeah,
man,
he did not practice. Sorry, I didn't get to that. Let me give you the injury report before you continue on here. Um, Claudine Shirelis, he's on concussion. Linebacker did not practice. J.C. Horn, concussion, did not
yeah,
practice. The center did not practice. Kate Mays. You also have old friend Christian Rosenboom, who everybody loved here. Not really.
yeah,
He's also did not practice with the hip and a hamstring. And Chandler Sabala, guard with the calf, did not practice. So those are the the 5 guys
Yeah.
that did not practice today.
And,
So it's
and
not looking good for JC Horn to play.
And speaking of former Ram defensive coaches, Idro Evero,
Yes,
he's
thank
the
you for.
DC of the Panthers who might be trying to get a head coaching job. Maybe he needs a change. Maybe he's an opening. If Shula's gone, maybe he comes back too. So, uh, yeah, Jason Horn has had some of the best interceptions I've seen this season. Like he's just a ball hawk in the right place, and he was finally healthy. He got hurt, and he's been showing out. But not having Jason Horn is going to take away from this defense. So they don't have a quarterback. They're going to miss one of the star players defensively. Derek Brown is a menace in the front. Other than that, there shouldn't be nothing to worry about with this team. So that's it. I'm done with these Panthers, who are very inconsistent.
Yeah, I do remember that there was talking about Ero, that he was one of the guys that McVay really wanted, and he ended up. I think he went to Denver, if I'm not mistaken, as a DC for Big Fangio, and then from there he got the Panthers job. And when he was kind of looking for a new job, I know he was up for I know for sure I remember this correctly that they wanted Sean McVay and the Rams wanted him, but it just that was during that God, who was the coach that got fired? Now he's with Stanford for the
Frank
Panthers.
Reich.
Remember that
Yeah.
they brought in what was it?
Yeah. Frank Reich.
Yeah, Frank Wright brought in a all star of coordinators, and none of them panned out. Well,
Yeah.
they got fired, but he ended up staying on the staff, and so he is a really good coordinator. That is someone that is going to be up for a job sooner rather than later. He's been able to do really well this season with not a lot of, yeah, you mentioned Derek Brown and JC Horn, but um, he's one of those guys that might frustrate Sean McVay in this game. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on. But outside of that, Gilbert, I just don't know how the Panthers go about beating the Rams in this game. And you look at the Rams right now, they're rolling. And I talked about that 13 personnel and the fact that they brought in Nick Bannett and they added him to the roster. You bring back Akilo Witherspoon now out of IR and Tutu Adwell. You want to just go ahead and take care of business in Carolina. Don't mess around. It's a 10 a.m. game. You don't want to take these games for granted. Don't take them lightly. They're gonna show up. The Panthers. One thing I can tell you, Gilbert, is they play way better at home, like most young teams do. Ted Ted Mc Ted Ted Arroyo. There we go.
Yeah. They're right.
Uh, yeah. His biggest thing is he's a really good receiver and they have a good one in him. His biggest issue is he drops the ball a lot, Gilbert. And so that's something that I feel like I would not be surprised if Emmanuel Forbes ends up with like 2 interceptions in this game, just because he's getting back to what made him great coming out of college at Mississippi. Is it Ole Miss or Mississippi State? I think it was Mississippi State. Um, he was a ball hawk. He led the nation in interceptions coming out of college there, and so now he's added to it. Whatever Chris Shula has done with him has been working, and so for me, that's the big thing is this secondary. As you mentioned, you brought up all the names. We forgot about Darius Williams and Kobe
Yeah.
Durant. Kobe Durant's been on a run too, man, and I'm glad he's getting some shine. I know Fernando was in the locker room this past weekend. He said, "I love that guy because he's great to interact with. He's got a lot of juice to him, and so it's good to see these young guys starting to kind of get the shine now. And it's not just like I know a lot of the viewers and listeners have gotten on us about the secondary, and rightfully so, but like it's good to see them kind of step out of their shell here now that they're making plays. And why not? Pull your shit you put your chest out there because you deserve it. They've been balling out, Gilbert.
Yeah. Put your shit out there too.
Yeah.
Uh, and real quick, that Brandon Staley staff in 2020 had Chris Shula and Ejiro Evero, so it kind of tells you how good they were defensively
Yeah.
that year.
Maybe
Uh,
they were the keys and not Brandon
Yeah. I
Staley.
didn't want to say it, but yeah, he got a job out of it the following year and coaching the Chargers in 2021. But yeah, people always talk about McVay and all the guys he had on offense. Look at this defense. So uh, yeah, it. I don't know if I call it a trap game because the Rams have just been rolling here, but as the baby's crying here, uh, it was a right move for the Rams to bring in a bunch of bodies in the secondary and to trust Chris Shula to just kind of mix and match. And now imagine when guys get healthy, like you get guys like Quentin Lankback who could play corner. He's more of a safety. And then you have Witherspoon, maybe Daron Kendrick does something for you. Now you have fours ready to go. You got Kobe Durant, you got Darius Williams. I just rattled off like six guys who could play corner.
Yeah,
So uh, that is something I did not see coming here, and suddenly it's a strength here. And I know I was wrong on that, but you never know. I still want to see them get truly tested, and I think that could happen again. Maybe Seattle Part 2 when they have more film on them, and then you got Detroit coming up too. But I think for these next 2 weeks here, Arizona and Carolina, they should be okay.
yeah, and you just want to take care of business, honestly, and you know, I and like I said, I don't want to be disrespectful to the Panthers because the Panthers have been really good at moments, especially at home. They've had some good wins. I still think they're gonna fight with the Buccaneers for the division. They have two more games against the Buccaneers to close out the year. So I just don't want to disrespect. I just feel like the Rams right now are on another level. And if I'm the Rams, like I said, take care of business, do what you just did to the Buccaneers. Um, I just don't see how you don't do it in this game. And it's continuing to see this defense continue to take the next step and be the ones because what did we say? I think last year was well, the defense is going to win a bunch of games and the offense is just going to have to come along. This year, it felt like it was at the beginning of the season, it was the defense that was the one uh, that was carrying this team. Then in the middle of the season, it's been the offense. And then lately, all three faces have just taken over. So, it's good to see all three faces doing really well. And then also, I mean, just continue to kick some field goals. Want to see him especially if it's a tie game early on in the first or second quarter. Give them some chances to kick a field goal, especially on the road.
Yeah, one thing I want to touch on, before we get going here, is if you're being regarded as the best team in football, this is a typical game where you go and beat somebody up. Obviously they did it against the Buccaneers, but that was at home. I think sometimes when you go on the road, you don't have to win by like 20 points, but like I think if you just show that that game was never out of hand, and you look at the score like, oh, it was like a 8-point victory, or if you're betting, hopefully over 10
Yep.
but it was like it was a deceiving score. It was never out of hand. I think maybe there's something to it, Victor, what you mentioned last year. Like, what if they're peaking too early? And maybe you are making that climb, but maybe it's okay to kind of go like in a
Yeah.
steady like line now. We're like, yeah, just kind of handle business against Carolina and Arizona. Don't make it close. Don't make it feel like it's like a one-score game. Like if it becomes a one-score game at the end because of a garbage touchdown, so be it. But you never were like never felt like the game was out of your control. So play on your terms, beat them up, set the tone, and go show why people are calling you the best team in football. Like now, it feels like there's some pressure now. Like, okay, people are looking at you. Stafford's being asked about MVP. Shula's being asked about coaching jobs.
Yep.
Sean McVay's being asked about having the number one seed in November. Like, all
Yeah.
eyes are on this team now. So, uh, first of all, let me know in the comments if you agree with the power rankings, because most of them, I haven't seen one without the Rams being number one. Like, is that something you agree with? Obviously, there's gonna be some biases because people here support the Rams, but if you feel like they're not really quite there yet, let me know that too. But I think they are the best team. Again, I've ate my words in the secondary. You've just mentioned it. They're playing well in all three phases of football. Maybe there's some issues there that you want to see sorted out when it comes to McVay's game management, but he hasn't been in a close game,
Yeah.
so you can't knock him for that. So the point is, just go dominate, and you don't have to win in style or win in 20 or 30-point fashion. Just show that you're the best team and move on.
Yeah. I'm with you. And let's get to keys to this to a Rams win here versus the Panthers, Gilbert, and I'll get it started here. And I talked about Nick Vanette and how why they added him to the roster. It just feels like they want to run more 13 and 12 personnel. They want to make sure they keep uh Matthew Stafford upright, and it feels like this is a game where you're gonna see them run the ball a lot more, Gilbert. I would like to see here for a key to a win. I would like to see Blake Corum and Kyron Williams get about 15 carries each to where you're able to run the ball. That's why I thought it was very important that Nick Van Nett was added to the active roster because they're planning to run more 13 personnel, be able to run 11 personnel to where you get the Panthers, you're able to run it out of 11 personnel as well, Gilbert. So for me, the key is run the ball in this game, take care of business. I don't really care about having Matthew Stafford throw for 5 or 6 touchdowns. This game is just about taking care of business, going to the East Coast, run the ball, get out with the win. And to me, that's the biggest key is run the ball.
Yeah, I'm just gonna agree with you and kind of take it a step further. Like, it has to be running the football for this game, especially for a team that you're better than, and you're on the road. You want to be healthy. You want to, make sure you make life easier for everybody. And one thing that I've been waiting for this team to do is have a nice rotation with Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. I know they've been better, but I haven't seen like it's hard to do. Like, I'm not saying every team could do David Montgomery, Jameer Gibbs balance. Even they're having trouble this year, but something where Kyron's the lead guy, but it's gonna be 10 to 12 touches for Corum that just make a difference. And I don't think they've gotten quite there yet. Like, it just seems very sporadic. We're like, oh, Blake Corum game. And it's like, why can't you do that every week? I want to see these two guys figure out a rhythm. So that'll be kind of the test here for Mike LaFleur, to figure out him and Sean McVay. Obviously, I feel like LaFleur never gets talked about because McVay
Yeah.
runs the play calling. But figure out a nice rotation that could really help you out in terms of playing playoff football. They're looking good for the number one seed, but what do you have to go to Philly? Like, you want to run the football well. So to me, find something where it feels like finally you're seeing a good rotation here. And it's hard across the league. I mentioned the Chicago one, Malungai and DeAndre Swift. Uh, it happened in Carolina with Rico Dow and Chuba Hubbard. They kind of just pick one. But the good teams, man, they figure out how to get a lot of guys involved. And I think the Buccaneers are good at that with Bucky and Tucker and Rashad White. It didn't happen last week. But yeah, find something where you feel like Corum's going to be an impactful player for the rest of the year. It's kind of unpredictable right now.
Yeah, and talking about a prediction, I mean, I don't usually do one for players, but in terms of I'm gonna predict that Blake Corum gets a touchdown in this game. It just
Ah,
feels like and then one of the things I've noticed too with this coaching staff is that they're giving each a drive. So they'll let one of them start. You'll have Kyron start the first series, and then they'll bring in Blake Corum. I've even seen Blake Corum start the second half. I think it was 2 games ago. So I think this is going to be a game where Blake Corum gets a touchdown. So I like I said, I usually don't make predictions, but I just feels like this is one of those games where Blake Corum gets a touchdown.
has he had one this
Yeah,
year? I
he
can't.
has had one. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just feel like he's gonna get one in this game. Like it just
Yeah,
feels like yeah.
I'm waiting for a game where he's like, "Oh, that was a great game." Not like that was a good series or a good couple, drives here and there. Like, I want to see one like, yeah, that was a great game for Corm. He hasn't had that yet.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, let's get to our betting line here. The Rams are 10-point favorites. The over under here is 45. Gilbert, what's the right side of this line?
Yeah, again, I'm not too worried about how many points they win, as long as they show that they're the better team and have it in control. But I'm gonna go with the points here. I'll say the Rams. I'll take the Rams to lay the points here, and they'll win. By more than 10 on the road. Maybe a game that feels a little bit of a trap game, but not really. So I'll say the Rams could cover this 10-point spread here, which is a high number for to cover in the NFL, but they could do it. And then the over under, I could see an under. I could see the Rams defense just crushing Bryce Young, and then the Rams go into cruise control for a bit at the end.
This feels like a very heavy run game for both teams with Ricky Dowdle, Kyron Williams, and Blake Corum. I like the under in this game at 45. But I also like I told you last week, I like the Rams to blow out the Buccaneers. I'm a little bit more skeptical here in this game
Mm.
just because it kind of reminds me. I'm always weary, Gilbert. I always give you these games in the East Coast. I gave you the Giants a couple years ago. I gave you the Jets a couple years ago. And this year is this game, Gilbert. I just feels like this is going to be a close game at the end and the Rams are going to win. And so I'm gonna say the Panthers cover those 10 points,
Wow.
but I like the Rams to win. Maybe by 9 points, maybe by 8 points. It's not gonna be a one possession game, but it just feels like this is a lot of points, and it's one of those East Coast games that just seems like a trap game where the Rams are going to be happy just to get out of there. It's always like that November December game going to the East Coast, like I said, and it always happens. It happened against the Giants 2 years ago, I think it was, or last year, and it happened against the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. So I'm gonna say that same thing happens here. They win, but they'll get out of there with less than a 10-point win.
Yeah, I think the only, I guess, cold weather game they're gonna get is maybe Seattle in December, but that's not even that
Right.
bad. It's like
Yeah.
it'll be rainy, but in terms of that, I know you're a little early on your December trap game vibe, but I could see that
Yeah.
one a little bit. It won't be it won't be Arizona.
It won't
I
be.
don't think it won't be Atlanta. That's endorsed too. Like this
Yeah.
was
I'm telling you. Yeah.
yeah, so I can see that too. And Carolina, the one thing I'll give them credit on is like when they have a crappy game, they tend to bounce back the following game. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I just think these
Yeah.
two teams are in different classes, but it'll be a better showing where I think maybe you could get that backdoor cover from Carolina. But I still think the Rams, regardless of how it turns out, they're going to be a step ahead.
Yeah, I'm with you. I still have the Rams winning, like I said, but there's always that one game that I give you guys every year, and it just feels like that's where we're headed here with this game. It's gonna be one of those where they're probably gonna sleepwalk through the first half, kind of like what they did against the Ravens when they knew Lamar wasn't playing,
Yeah.
and then they're just gonna turn it on in the second half, and then it'll be under a 10-point game with the backdoor cover by the and then the Rams are 8-3 against the spread this season. So they've been the best team in the league and against the spread
Yeah.
this year. All right, Gilbert, give us your game prediction. Everybody watching or listening, give us your game predictions. I'll get to the two comments there from Delbert before we go, Gilbert.
Yeah, I'll go with the Rams here. I said they'll cover. I'm laying the points here. So give me like 24-13. That's still an under, I think. Or what was it like? Yeah, that'll be in the 30. So it'll be like
It's
37 points.
45. Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm
45. Yeah.
well under with that one. So give me 24 to 13. They win by 11 points here, the Rams.
Okay. I'll go 20 to I'll go what is it? 20 I'll go 20 to I'll go 20 to 14, something like that. Some weird ass number like 23-15, something like that where it's under 45. But it'll be under 10. I like I said, I like the Rams in this game. It just feels like it's going to be one of those where, it's going to be super close, but we got some comments here that I want to get to before we head out. Gilbert, been a good show. We had a lot of people in here, more than I was we were talking before we hopped on here. I wonder if we even get 10 people. We got almost 20 on here, so that was awesome to see. Delbert says hope to see Ferguson, Whittington, and Hunter get some playing time. I would like to see Hunter finally be active, Gilbert, but we'll see. It's just hard carrying two running backs when, unless you're going to have Hunter return kicks. They could have done it last week, but they chose to have Kyron be the one who was doing the punt returns. So we'll see. And then he's asking his fist dropping off. You know what I noticed why you haven't seen him or as much of they're using him at end a lot, Gilbert. They're using him on stunts, and he's the guy that's opening up for the other guy. So um that's I don't think he's falling off. He's just he's kind of being used in a different role this season. but he's still having an impact.
Yeah, maybe he's doing the Michael Hoyt role where he's a little bit
Yes.
of both
Yeah.
versatile. But I can see what they were saying. I expect them more. When you invested a second round pick and gave up a pick also for him, maybe he's just more comfortable getting sacks from the interior, and if he's being moved around, it's not as easy. But he's setting the table for other people. Like Byron Young was eating early. It seemed like Jared Verse is starting to pick that up too. So, uh, yeah, even Cole Turner had a good game last week. So, maybe that's what he's doing. I don't know if anybody's asked Shula about that one, but I am curious because I expected more, but then maybe you're right, Vic. Maybe he's just doing the dirty work for this team.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like you bring in Puna Ford, you have
Yeah,
Kobe
he's another
Turner,
one.
you have Tyler Davis, you have dudes
A
in
lot.
there, so maybe they want to see what he can do on the outside as well. And
That's
and
fair.
that's actually the Michael Hoyt thing makes a lot of sense there. He's Deborah says Rams O line dominate 34-13. Master Lex 34 says horns up. Hope they show up like the Bucks. Tutu and Witherspoon coming back. And then he has 31-13. Jorge
Mm.
says, "Where's Dan?" And then he says, Gilbert, what you get when your parents tell you we have Dan at home?"
Man. First of all, I'm not sure if this is a real Jorge. You changed your YouTube name, so I don't know
I
if I
think
should.
what's going on, Gilbert, is that they're changing the comments and now we get to see the whole name instead
Okay.
of just their name. I think that's what's going on, which is
Yeah.
throwing us off too.
And Jorge, you haven't got enough of Dan. I just saw him on. He went live earlier today. So to
Yeah, I
me,
think he
I
missed them. That's why.
yeah, I missed that show on purpose. But yeah, go watch the replay of What's Up, Bolt, Jorge.
Thanks for joining us, Jorge. That's awesome. Uh, Master Lex 34 says Hope Rams show up just like they dominated the Bucks 2-2 and well. There we go. There we go. He says Jorge says Rams 82 opponent 0 easy money. So
There
there
you
you
go.
go. All right,
Oh,
Gilbert. Once again, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Jorge, Master Lex here, Delbert, ESG. Who else are we? We got AMS, who was in Ocean City, New Jersey.
oh yeah,
Lucendo for the first time here commenting. That was awesome. The Worm just come in at the last second here, says
nice.
Rams need to beat the Panthers in a decisive, convincing way. Don't sleep on these guys and don't get trapped. But
Yeah,
yes, happy Thanksgiving to the Worm as well. See you. Yeah, I think you're just we're seeing how their whole handle now instead of just their names. That's what's
okay,
going on.
gotcha.
And
That's good.
happy Thanksgiving from Jorge and from the Worm. So don't get trapped. Don't get trapped
Yeah,
in a trip to Thailand
or
there.
Hong
Like
Kong or whatever you
Fernando
want to
going to
say.
Hong Kong
Yeah,
with
but
Eric.
shout out to the
Uh,
Worm and Jorge and happy Thanksgiving to everybody in the comments. It's pretty cool. I thought it would be like, oh, everybody's on vacation mode, no one's gonna jump on. So to see all these
yeah.
comments has been pretty cool.
I think the best part is seeing AMS joining us from his vacation
Yeah,
out in Ocean City, New Jersey. That was awesome. And like I said, thanks to everybody. Very thankful for everybody for listening, for watching this. I mean, it's been the to see the growth of this podcast, and now that the Rams are playing really well. It's good to see people, joining us and finding us and liking our content here. So we are really appreciative of everybody, from the day ones to now where we're at right now, Gilbert. So I'm really appreciative of that, and thank you for giving me this opportunity as a producer and also to be able to host this show. So it's been awesome to have this, but we still have a long way to go still. The Rams are going to be in the playoffs, so we have a long run to cover here.
yeah. No, you've been kicking ass, Vic. You just reminded me that Darion Kendrick is back. You told me that they have a new tight end. I'm losing track of who's on IR, and you're on it. So, thank you for that. I didn't even know about Chris Shula he's being asked about coaching jobs. So I come on here, I maybe a little unprepared, but the second you tell me that, cool, I could respond to that. So you're kicking ass here, and yeah, maybe Jorge, maybe Victor and I have a Compas on the beat tattoo. We won't tell you, but we appreciate the support, and yeah, everybody here is doing a great job of just making us feel like we're not talking to just ourselves here. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
Appreciate you, the Worm, for saying that. And shout out to you, JC Silva. He says happy Thanksgiving, compas. And yeah, people are just jumping on me. People are a little shy and then dropping comments. Go ahead. We're supposed to be nice to each other this time of year, so drop
Yep.
all the nice things you could say about us and each other here. So JC, Jorge, the Worm, everybody who's been on here, Delbert, Master Lex, ESG, Duciendo, AMS. I know Victor mentioned the names, but I want to also say thank you to all these people here. But time to get going. There's football. Or what am I going to eat for dinner? Am I going to order a pizza or try to cook food here?
Yeah.
I
What are
don't
you
know.
guys doing? Are you having a pizza? We're having a taco salad. We're
Oh,
doing it.
okay.
Why?
Oh, you guys are cooking the day before you have to cook
Yeah.
for the whole day. You guys are wild. But
Yeah.
the more I say pizza, the more I want a pizza. But
Yeah. There
uh,
you go.
I've been trying to get my body right before the wedding
Yeah.
that we have in the
Same.
springs. But we'll see if I'm that strong and committed. But
Hey.
Delbert, shout out to you for that comment there. Puro Cuernos, Shula, next Rams head coach. Jorge is saying taco salad sounds as crazy as a lasagna's
I've
soup.
actually had lasagna soup.
Really? I
It's
didn't even know
been
that was a
good.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And I love lasagna, so maybe I should
Yeah.
try this thing here.
Yeah.
But
We'll probably make it for your wedding weekend somewhere out
oh,
there. Yep.
okay. Well, let's try that then. But it's time to
Yep.
get going here. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy the time with the family. Enjoy football, and best of luck with your bets, fantasy football, whatever you got going on. Uh, yeah, Jorge. I don't know what that is, but what
Oh
in white
yeah.
America is
Yeah.
that?
I'm gonna send him the link right now, Jorge. I'm telling
uh,
you, it's good.
Yeah, I've had many types of soups as a Mexican. We just pretty much put everything together
Yes.
and eat it. But hey, I'll try this thing here. But on that note, ya nos vamos, pues.